This is Nick with Build Brothers Roofing at 920 Lacebark Street out here in San Marcos. Started my digital inspection. We always like to start our inspections underneath the eave of the house. So your eave is going to consist of your fascia board, you then have your rafter tails, and you have your starter boards. And the reason why we like to start underneath the eave is that it gives us a good idea about what kind of wood damage we can expect on this property. We can see we got a lot of termite damage, we got a lot of fascia that's going to need to be replaced, a lot of wood rot going on along with that termite damage. So wood repair is always that unknown variable. So we want to make sure that we do a good job of just kind of getting an idea of what we can expect. So I'll go over this with the homeowner. You can see this is a concrete tile. This is a Malibu style concrete tile. The majority of the roof does not have any drip edge. This is the original roof. There's one roof plane that has been replaced where they added some solar panels, but I'm going to point out a few more things on this product. Okay, again, so this is a concrete tile. This is a Malibu style concrete tile. Unfortunately, this is a Monier concrete tile, which is a discontinued tile. So when we redo this roof, there will be a lot of replacement tiles that need to be added to it. But because they are discontinued, they are really hard to find and they end up being expensive. So I'm going to go over that with the homeowner. This is the flat section of the roof. We got a torch down modified bitumen roofing material. We can see there's a ton of granule loss that's already started to occur. Essentially what's happening is the oils on this asphalt, on this torch down material have started to evaporate. And as those oils evaporate, the granules start to deplete whenever it rains, and then they'll end up in the gutters just like they are right now. Once the granule loss starts, once that fiberglass is exposed, that's what all that shiny stuff is, then the waterproofing of the product is greatly affected. We have an old skylight right here. It'd be a good idea when this roof is replaced to go ahead and replace this skylight. There's a chance that the curb is going to need to be redone. You can see we got a lot of ponding on this back section, so a lot of times that causes the wood to rot around that curb. But again, that wood repair is always that unknown. We don't know how much is going to need to be replaced until we go ahead and we replace this roof and get underneath it. You can see these valleys are really tight on this roof as well. I want to go ahead and open these valleys up. You can see how all this debris accumulates in the valleys. And so what ends up happening when these valleys are so tight, instead of that water just flowing freely off the roof, it'll end up diverting into areas of the roof that it's not supposed to, and it ends up getting underneath the tile metal. So we want to just open these valleys up just to allow for proper flow. This section of the roof where these solar panels are, this whole roof plane was redone. You can see that they added new drip edge to it. They used a piece of lumber to act as a tile riser, and the rest of this underlayment is newer. But there are a few things that I want to point out when I get to that section of the roof that are a little concerning. This is the original roof. This is what the original underlayment looks like. You can see just how worn out this underlayment is. You can see all the watermarks coming down, but then you can also see just how brittle this stuff is. This stuff is literally just kind of crumbling in my fingertips. So when this roof gets replaced, we're going to replace this felt underlayment with a titanium peel and stick underlayment. And we'll make it a fire resistant underlayment that actually does come with a limited lifetime warranty. It's a self-adhesive product that goes directly to the wood decking. You can also see that a lot of these tiles are very uneven. You can see them starting to slip a little bit. So I'm gonna work over this section. The other thing I wanna point out is a lot of these tiles have cracks. These are manufacturer defects on this tile. That's a really weak point on the tile. And over time, as the home shifts and whatnot, those tiles end up cracking on that section. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're all compromising the waterproofing of the tile, but it is an issue that we have to deal with that type of tile. You can see all the repairs that have been done in this section as well. A lot of these tiles are glued together, so when you go ahead and remove them, those tiles are going to break. This is a sealant around the penetrations. You can see that sealant is starting to crack. It's cracked all the way around. Water and moisture is going to be coming down these pipes every time it rains. You can see we have exposed nail holes throughout. Looks like there might have been maybe some pool solar that was installed previously on this roof. Again, these are all areas that should be of concern. Here is another idea of what the original underlayment looks like. You can see this stuff is just super, super old, really, really brittle, just crumbling at this point. I'm gonna work up to the top section, try to speed this up. Here's a portion of the roof that hasn't been redone. So you can see there's no drip edge on this roof. You can see how damaged all this wood is. This stuff is super soft, super brittle. Pulled this tile down just to show what that underlayment looks like. and you can see this stuff is starting to come apart. This is actually a leak. You can see this exposed nail head, how loose it is, how rusty it is. Water's been getting into this section for quite some time. So there's definitely water intruding the house on that section of the roof. And then I want to show you what the new underlayment looks like. This newer, not sure when it was installed, but you can tell this stuff is really thick. It's very gritty, very granular to the touch. This is what the fresh underlayment is going to look like. Again, same thing down here. But I want to point out what they did when they installed this roof. Fresh underlayment. You can see we have the nail hole on this tile. Now, when this tile was installed, typically we want about, you know, 1.5 inch, 2-inch overlap on this nail hole to ensure the proper waterproofing so water flows freely. When this tile is up against the next tile, it cuts off about right here, which is right on that nail head. I saw this tile because it was slid down a little bit and the nail head was completely exposed. So they didn't use enough tile when they went ahead and did this roof, unfortunately. That's called tile stretching. So that's another thing that's gonna need to be addressed. So as far as the condition of the roof goes, this is the original roof. Typical roofs like this are gonna last around 25 years. This looks to be about 35 years old, I'd say. This portion of the roof was redone, so you know we don't have to redo it, although I would highly recommend it when it's time to go ahead and redo this section of the roof as well, just because of the way that it was installed. Roofs rarely leak because of the material. They're only going to leak because of the way that the roof was installed in the first place. So with this type of tile, we can always try to do a lift and reset where we reuse the existing tiles. You can see how dirty and how old these tiles are. I am going to recommend a new tile roof on this property. One, just because I know it's going to look a lot better and the homeowner's going to like it a lot more. But two, because this tile is discontinued, it's going to be really hard to find and it's going to be very expensive in the first place. So we can weigh out the costs for both options, but it's going to be pretty similar if we just go with the new tile compared to just reusing the existing tile. So either way, we're lifting these tiles up, replacing the underlayment with a layer of titanium peel and stick. It comes with that limited lifetime warranty. We'll reflash, reseal all these penetrations. We're going to add brand new drip edge along the entire perimeter and brand new bird stop. Bird stop is a piece of metal that stops any kind of critters, wind-driven rain, and fire embers from getting underneath the roof. And then the new tile or existing tile goes right back on top. And then the homeowner has a roof that they have to deal with again, you know, for the entire time that they're in this home. But, you know, depending on how much weather we get, depending on if the roof is currently leaking, aside from that one section, this roof can last another couple years. But if the homeowner wants to be proactive, it would be a good idea to replace the roof. That's it for my inspection.